I recently found the secret haven of cheap energy drinks at my local Dollar Tree. They're selling G Fuel for $1.50. This is not sponsored. This is me being incredibly excited. I have been spending $2 to $3 on energy drinks for like the past 2 years. Dollar Tree has them for $1.50. Mind blown. My life has just gotten so much better. But last week I watched a movie made by Markiplier. Now I'm not gonna lie, I never really watched Markiplier that much when I was younger, as I didn't have YouTube until like I was in high school or something. I think I don't remember, but I didn't watch Markiplier. I still don't really watch Markiplier unless you count his new movie, which is Iron Lung. I also played the game. By the way, if you want to watch the gameplay, it's on this channel. It's my most recent video. Go watch it. It's real good. I totally didn't get scared. I'm manly. Never get scared. You see these? You probably don't see them very well. But, I don't get scared. Never, never, never. So go watch that for very, what am I even saying? But I'm not going to be talking too much about the game today, except for the fact that, well, before I watched the movie, I knew in this video I was gonna be saying I won't do any spoilers. No spoilers here, all right? Because the movie came out like 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago. I don't remember, but I don't want to spoil anything. It's brand new. Well, this might be a spoiler. If you've played the game, you pretty much kind of know what's gonna happen. That's which has its good and bads. You know, it's based off the game. He does a fantastic job of making a movie based off the game. It's very, very accurate. I mean, the ship in the game feels incredibly accurate to the ship in the movie. I mean, it's very, very accurate. And even, like, the whole, like, the plot feels very accurate, because it starts out a little slow, a little, it's very, kind of confusing, because you're kind of waiting for the scary part, You're kind of like expecting something scary to happen because this is kind of a horror film or like a shock film, something like that. But like it takes a while, almost takes too long before something scary happens, you know? But okay, I saw this post on Instagram, I think, and it said the movie, it's an okay movie. It's a good film. It's a good film. And I want to rephrase that and say it's an okay movie compared to movies made by Disney, Universal, all these other bigger studios with a bigger budget and more people, more employees, all this stuff. It's kind of okay compared to those. But compared to other indie films with a similar budget or even smaller budget, maybe slightly larger budget, it's pretty good. It's pretty good compared to all those. It's great, yeah. But when you compare it to the big dogs, it's okay. I mean, I'm not gonna. I love the fact that Markiplier did it all on his own. Like and he stayed accurate to the movie. I think it's impressive. I think that's so cool, and I hope it is a bit of a turn to make some make other people believe they can make a movie. People that have really good ideas, they'll just go do it. Now, I am a little worried that other, YouTubers will see this as a chance to make money and not a chance to make art. Because I don't believe Markiplier saw this as a crazy, yeah, let's go make some money, woohoo. I think he knew that this would be a huge risk. But I'm afraid that other YouTubers are going to think, oh yeah, that's how we make the big bucks. So they're going to release some absolute garbage stuff. I hope that doesn't happen, because that's going to really kind of sully the idea of indie films. It feels bad to say that Markiplier made a bad movie, because it's not bad. It's okay. Okay, let me rephrase what I said earlier. It's an okay movie. It's fine. That's about it. It's fine. Nothing much more. It was a little confusing at first. Like, I don't know. I feel like I missed a few things. Maybe I'm an idiot. I know someone out there, I've seen it already on Twitter and Reddit. People are like, oh, if you thought it was confusing, well, you just didn't pay attention, you freaking idiot. If you want to be like that, go ahead, comment it, be like, oh, Blue, you dummy, you didn't understand what was going on. Were you even watching the movie? What the heck? Da, 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 da. Like, sure. But I was confused. Me and my friend that I went to go see the movie with, we were confused. Markiplier really didn't have a lot to work with, to be honest. The game, it took me about an hour to play. For someone who's not doing commentary like I did, it could probably take 45 minutes. And Mark turned it into a 2 hour movie. But he wasn't really given a lot with this hour long game. There's really not a whole lot to the game. I mean, the game doesn't give a ton of information. There's like a couple things. There's like one thing you can read in the beginning of the game, there's a note in the middle of the game that you can read, and then there's an end screen with more lore or whatever. Which the end screen doesn't even have much lore, to be honest. I don't think. It was just kind of vague. But I mean, he did his best with what he had to work with, is what I'm trying to say. He didn't have a lot, but just because he didn't have a lot, and I think he did his best, doesn't make it a good movie. I'm not giving pity points. I'm comparing it to the other movies that I have on my tier list, which isn't a ton at the moment. Now, it's not a bad movie. I just want to say that. Not a bad movie. No, there is way worse, okay? You guys remember? I did Transformers 5. Transformers 5? That's hot garbage. Another movie that's probably garbage, by the way, here's a picture of me posing right next to the poster. Shout out to my friend who took the picture. Another garbage movie is probably Melania. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm not watching that shit, and it ain't going on my tier list. But I know that's probably garbage. So Iron Lung is not like that movie or Transformers 5. It is a solid movie. This is probably one of my hardest movies to rank so far, and I think it's mostly because you know, it's like when like you remember when you were playing, if you ever played sports in school, right? And you had a really bad game, or your team lost, and your mom and dad comes to you and you're like, "That's all right, son or daughter, you did great." That's what it feels like with Iron Lung. I'm like, "Hey, Markiplier, it's all right. You did great. It was fantastic." When it was okay. It was fine. He did all right. He played an okay game. I'm trying not to be one of those, really loving parents. I'm trying to be, I'm trying to review this properly, but it's kind of hard. I think one of the downfalls to add to it, along with it being a bit of a low budget compared to most movies, I know people see the 3 million that Markiplier put in. I believe that's the number, 3 million that Markiplier budgeted towards it. They see that and think, "Oh, wow, that's a lot," which it is a lot for normal people like me. But compared to other movies, like let's say Melania, because I saw this number recently, Melania had a budget of 70 million, which it flopped, by the way. But it had way less of a budget than most movies. But another thing that kind of brought it down is the fact that most people have not played Iron Lung. By the way, Iron Lung is on all platforms besides Xbox. It's on Android, it's on Nintendo Switch, it's on PS5, and it's on PC, where I played it. But I looked at the Steam count, because I'm assuming that's where most people have played it, and its peak numbers is like 570, which when you think about the amount of people that probably watched the movie, that's not a lot. That's really not, and compared to a lot of games, and I looked at its overall viewer count through the years. It's never gotten above 600, never. So that could be a problem with the movie too, is that a lot of people don't have too much context, and their first origin of context comes from the movie. So my kind of feeling whenever I was watching the movie is, bop, I'm getting slapped in the face with all this lore. I'm trying to process it while trying to understand what's going on. It's just a lot. I feel like if I played the game before I watched the movie, I'd maybe understand what's going on a little bit better. It just feels like a lot of lore and a lot of story to try to understand. I think the first bit of the game, it gives you a decent amount of lore, and I think if people could just read that, they'd probably understand the movie a bit more. I mean, I really don't have too much more to say about it. It was confusing on my first watch. Overall, okay movie. Markiplier, he did good. He did pretty good. I thought he did fantastic. I'd love to see him maybe act in other things or maybe make more movies. That'd be cool. I'd be down for that, you know? Give him another shot. You know, give him more budget. I know he's made a decent amount of money from Iron Lung, which is awesome. I would love to see another Markiplier movie or even Markiplier in someone else's movie. You know, that'd be okay. He doesn't have to, budget and direct the whole thing. Even if Markiplier got to work with someone else. Like imagine this. Markiplier and Jacksepticeye, best buds. They make a movie together. That'd be hype. That'd be hype. You know, it doesn't matter what it is, that'd be crazy. Although, it'd have to still maybe be a good movie. They can't just write off the hype. I hope that's not what's, hope that's not what's happened with the Iron Lung movie, is that it's only gotten all of these viewers because of Markiplier. I hope that people have actually enjoyed it, you know. Time for the tier list. I have decided to move How to Train Your Dragon 3 down to C tier, but I do still believe it's slightly better than Iron Lung, just slightly, but I felt like having it be in B tier meant it was too high above Iron Lung. I believe How to Train Your Dragon 3 and Iron Lung, which is a crazy comparison, they're about on the same level. I couldn't. Iron Lung doesn't feel like it should be on a D tier. It's not that bad. I feel like C tier is it's okay, okay movie region. It's not quite a B tier, not quite that good, but it's good enough for a C, which isn't a bad ranking for someone's first movie. Heck yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. I tried to keep spoilers out of this, but again, if you've played the game, you kind of already know what's going to happen, pretty much. They did add a few more things into the movie that's not in the game, which is cool, but it's really not a whole lot. I thought Markiplier did great. This was really, really hard to make, this video, because, I don't know, there also just wasn't a whole lot to the movie, not a whole lot to kind of go off of, a lot of stale moments, kind of. A lot of just quiet moments, I guess is the best thing to say here. And there was really only one true actor, and that was Mark. There was the female scientist, Ava, I believe. She talked quite a bit. But thank you guys for watching. Go watch Iron Lung. Go make your own opinions. Comment down below what you think. And tell me if I'm wrong. All that good stuff. Again, I played the game. Go watch me play the game. Subscribe. Bye.